everyone, it's time to do my March wrap up, and while I only read 6 books this month, they were 6 books of quality. So I'm really excited to get into this wrap up because I have a lot of recommendations on some fantastic books that I read this month. So overall, great month. Let's just jump in. Now the first book I want to talk about is Brain on Fire, My Month of Madness by Susannah Cahalan. This is a memoir about a journalist who gets this mysterious illness with all these strange symptoms, and it's about her time while the doctors are trying to diagnose what is going on with her. She has all these strange symptoms, from seizures to paranoias to her limbs are going numb to feeling like she's getting full of bug bites. It's such a fascinating story. I listened to this as an audiobook, and I do recommend. I think it was a really good one to listen to. I didn't completely connect with the story at times, but still really engaging, really interesting. If you're someone who just loves that kind of medical mystery scenario, it's a very intriguing story, and very quick book to read, and just definitely worth picking up if you've been thinking about reading that one. I also listened to 2 more audiobooks this month, and those were the 3rd and 4th books in the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants series by Brashares. These were rereads for me. As I mentioned before, I'm rereading the whole series, and I was really happy to finally finish all of the young adult books. I think these books are fantastic stories about the celebration of female friendship and what female friendship really should be. I just think all 4 girls at times were relatable and interesting and complex. I really enjoy Brashares' writing. I found it very poetic and really nice prose to read, so very enjoyable. I was too old in a lot of ways to be reading these books, but since I was rereading them, I had the nostalgia factor going on and just really enjoyed them. Next, I read The Life We Bury by Eskens, and this is a mystery novel which I really enjoyed this month. I enjoyed it enough that I did a separate review. If you want more detail, you can watch the video down below. The short is that this mystery is about a young man who's interviewing an older man in a nursing home who was convicted of raping and murdering a young woman years ago and has spent most of his life in prison. Now that he's dying, he's being released to a nursing home, and this young man, Joe, is realizing that his case may not have been as simple as it seemed. It's a story with amateur detectives. It's a lot of fun and intrigue. I really just enjoyed going along for the ride. The characters were so memorable, and I don't normally connect very well to characters, but this is a story that the characters really stuck by me. I thought they were so well drawn and just really enjoyed it. As far as mystery goes, I've read more complex, never saw coming mysteries. This one was ever so slightly predictable, but that didn't stop me from loving this book. It's the kind of book where it's more about the story than what happens. So if you're a mystery reader, I definitely recommend picking this up. It is a bit grittier at times. The murder itself is quite ugly, but if you're alright reading a mystery that's not quite so cozy, this is definitely one to try out. I also read this selection for my book club and thankfully really enjoyed it. The last couple months I have not been enjoying my book club selections at all, but thankfully this one was really enjoyable and ended up being one of my favorite books I read the entire month. That book is Crow Lake by Lawson. Lawson is a Canadian author, and I'm so impressed by her writing. What this book is about 4 orphan children right at the beginning of the book. So within the first, I think, 10 pages, you find out that their parents have died in a terrible car accident, and these 4 children are left to kind of pick up the pieces of their family. This is such a beautiful story about family and forgiveness and regret and the power of education. I cannot believe how much I enjoyed this book. It's just beautifully written, but very simplistic. It's not a book that is difficult to get into. It's very readable, for lack of a better word, but highly enjoy this one. If you can get your hands on it, it's well worth it. Really enjoyed it. I plan on reading everything else that this author has written. These books take place in Northern Ontario, and I really think Lawson does an amazing job of describing that isolated community experience that people who have grown up or know about Northern Canada will recognize how authentic the story really is. Now the last book I'll just briefly mention, because this book isn't coming out till May. I'll do a separate review closer to the release date, But thanks to NetGalley, I received an early release copy of The Criminal That I Am by Jennifer Ridha. And this is a memoir about a young lawyer who ends up falling in love with a criminal that she is defending. And because of this case, she ends up getting in trouble and breaking the law on this person's behalf. And the story just unfolds from there. It really tells the full story of how she became romantically involved with this person, why she did what she did, and then the consequences that follow. Really fascinating story about the legal system. I'll let you know more about it closer to the release date, but definitely one to watch for, and you can put it on your TBR list on Goodreads. That is everything I read this month. Highly recommend so many of the books I mentioned. I was just so pleased with everything I read. It was definitely a month of quality over quantity, but I read 6 fantastic books. Please let me know if you have read or are thinking about reading any of the books I mentioned. I'm always happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I'll talk to you again really soon. Alright, thanks. Bye-bye.